Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're mapping out your hero's journey in learning Chinese. We're going to take that standard 7th grade syllabus and turn it into a real adventure toward lifelong fluency. But here's the secret. Mastering this whole roadmap? It actually starts with conquering the foundational building blocks, pinyin and tones. We're going to do a massive misconception check on those tricky phonetic traps that always seem to trip up early learners using this course map as our guide. So let's just jump right in.
Okay, here is our agenda for today. First, the big question. Second, the 5 Cs toolkit. Third, your Chinese course map. Fourth, HSK proficiency levels. And finally, reaching fluency. We'll breeze through these 5 steps to see how mastering your sounds right now sets you up for absolute global mastery down the road.
So, Section 1. The big question. Why are we learning Chinese?
This right here is your essential question for Unit 03. And look, before we can go around bridging cultures, we have to actually be understood, right? In Chinese, a single tiny tone mistake can change a sentence's entire meaning. I mean, if you accidentally call your mother, Ma, a horse, which is Ma, well, that definitely shifts how your identity and intentions are perceived by the community. Learning the language really means learning to be incredibly precise.
Let's look at the student outcomes for this unit. Identify the ACTFL 5 Cs, compare cultural practices, use language for real-world tasks, and reflect on intercultural communication. Now, to actually hit these goals, your transfer task for Unit 3 isn't just, reciting sounds in a vacuum. No way. It's about actively applying pinyin rules to decode brand new vocabulary in real-world scenarios. It tests how well you reflect on the actual, literal mechanics of the language.
Moving on to Section 2, the 5 Cs toolkit, which is basically your secret formula for fluency.
The very first C is communication. And for communication to actually work, accuracy is absolutely crucial. A classic grade 7 misconception is treating Chinese tones like English emotion. Like, say you want to buy something, you'd use the 3rd tone and say my. But if you drop your voice harshly using the 4th tone like you're mad and say my, that actually means to sell. You've literally just reversed the whole transaction.
The second C stands for cultures. Tones aren't just sounds. They are deeply, deeply embedded in Chinese culture, history, poetry, and idioms. Getting over those early hurdles with pinyin isn't just some boring academic exercise. It is the key that unlocks genuine cultural context. You simply can't understand the perspectives of Chinese-speaking people if you can't hear the nuance in how they're speaking.
That brings us to the 3rd C, connections. Pinyin is a perfect example here. Mastering pinyin is exactly how millions of Chinese speakers type on standard QWERTY keyboards to, connect online, do research, and use modern tech. Your phonetic skills link directly to how you're going to interact with the digital world every single day.
Our 4th C is comparisons, and honestly, this is the absolute perfect place to run a misconception check. A super common trap, looking at the pinyin letter C and assuming it sounds like cat. Actually, scratch that. In Chinese, it's a TS sound, kind of like the end of the word cats. Comparing our native phonetic habits to pinyin is exactly how we stop these errors right in their tracks. And the final C is communities. Taking your tone and pinyin mastery out into your local communities means you can confidently greet a neighbor, make a new friend, or order at a local restaurant. And you can do it without that nagging fear of being misunderstood.
All right, Section 3, your Chinese course map, charting grades 7 to 12.
You essentially have dual pathways available in the curriculum. On the left, we've got the standard progression, Chinese I through V. But then on the right, you have the specialized track, starting at HSK 3 and going all the way up to V. But listen, whichever path you choose, your early mastery of tones and pinyin is going to heavily dictate your success. Let's look at Section 4, HSK proficiency levels, or the milestones of mastery.
So the bedrock of progressing from the basic survival stages down at levels 1 and 2, all the way up to the professional mastery of levels 6 through 9, it's all completely reliant on shedding those early grade 7 pinyin and tone misconceptions. I mean, you simply cannot reach the effective or professional tiers if your foundational sounds are shaky. It's like trying to build a house on sand.
Looking at the very start of the journey, Step 1, which is Level 1, focuses entirely on simple daily communication. Step 2 covers basic life, study, and work communication, which leads right into Step 3, demanding effective communication in all 3 of those areas. At Level 1, even a basic exchange is going to completely fail if your tones are off.
Nailing your pinyin right now guarantees you can confidently handle those basic survival scenarios later on.
Now, as we climb higher up the ladder, Step 1 demands complete and coherent communication at Level 4. Step 2 requires accurate academic and workplace communication at Level 5. And Step 3 really pushes into fluent, in-depth professional communication for levels 6 through 8. Notice that word accurate? That is absolutely crucial. At these upper levels, there is zero room for phonetic misconceptions. Tonal accuracy literally has to become second nature.
Finally, Section 5, Reaching Fluency. The ultimate goal.
Precise and in-depth communication in all scenarios. This quote brilliantly illustrates the ultimate HSK Level 9 goal. Precise communication means those early pinyin rules and those tricky tonal shifts you are mastering right now in grade 7, they've become an automatic, flawless extension of your own thoughts. You are speaking with native-like precision. So, as you embark on this 7th grade pathway, I want to leave you with something to think about. How will you use your brand new cultural toolkit, starting with your mastery of every single syllable and tone, to connect with your own community today? The journey to Level 9 starts with the phonetic habits you are building right at this very moment. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and enjoy the adventure ahead.